Hey everybody, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy. You guys, so I've had some problems going live on this page, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm live. Last week I did an entire project and I really wasn't, so give me just a sec here. Oh, perfect. Here we go. Whoops, let me take that out. So fantastic. If you guys are popping on, just say hey, where you're watching from. Again, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy, and I'm an elite Dixie Belle retailer in Ardmore, Alabama at the Rustic Willow. Sorry, you guys, I've got some sinus stuff going on today. I'm also not live at my right time. I was just confused. And so my event is actually for an hour from now. But really, I was supposed to go live about an hour ago. Hey, Thelma. So you guys, if you're watching this on replay, just do a hashtag replay. I also thought this live was going to be a little bit longer, or I was going to make it a little bit longer. However, I'm definitely limited on time today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And whatever I don't finish up today, I'll create an event on my page and I'll finish it up tomorrow. Normally I just pop over to my page, but in this case, there's a retailer going live directly after me. So I want you guys to be able to see what she is making as well. Some amazing artists and lives all month long with a handmade from the heart. So we will go ahead and get started before I do, sorry. In the description, I do have all the products we're gonna be using today, as well as I've got a link to my page if you want to like and follow me so you can see the second part of this, finishing up this piece. And then also I have a link to my website and you can message me if you wanted to get any of the products today. So we're going to start off, well, let me show you guys first what we're going to be doing. And this one isn't finished, but just to give you an idea, tomorrow we'll finish it all up. But we are going to do a cute little porch leaner snowman. And I'm going to put a Let It Snow up here at the top, so that's why we have that extra space. We're also going to do some ornaments to stick on them. So to start with, this piece of wood that I'm using here, it's actually a 1x12, which, if you know, it's not really 12 inches wide. It's just a little bit over 11 inches. But it's a 1x12 from Lowe's. It was 8 feet long, and I went ahead and cut it into, Lowe's cut it, I didn't this time, cut it into 48-inch sections. So I ended up with 2 boards here that are 48 inches long and almost 12 inches wide. So you guys too, if I miss any comments, or if you guys have any questions, I'll go back after the live and respond to all of those. But this is our board here. So we're going to start off by, we're going to do a little color wash as well as a little stain. Hey, Ermi, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you on here. So for the background, we're going to do the background first, which is going to be the sky. We're going to take a little bit of the Voodoo Gel Stain in denim, which you guys, I don't use this one much, but it is a water-based stain. I'm just going to put a little bit down here. Let me pop you down so you can see what I'm doing. I should still be able to see comments. You just probably won't be able to see me talking. So here we are. So you can see everything we got going on. So I got a little bit of denim. So up in smoke would be ideal, but you guys, I really have to do my own order. I have everything at the store, and I'm terrible with my own inventory. So I'm out of up in smoke, so I'm just going to make a little color wash here. And all I'm doing is putting a little bit of Driftwood in here, and poured a little bit of water in, and we are going to stir it up. And I'm just going to use the end of my brush here because I didn't grab a little stir stick. And this is pretty watery, you guys. So I'm going to show you how liquidy that is. Really watery. I'm going to go ahead and pour some out in my plate. It'll mix in with the other colors, but that's fine. just gonna wash off the side of the brush. And then we're gonna put a little bit of black magic on here. You guys, you can use one color. You don't have to make it this way. I just kind of want a little bit of a streaky sky for my background. It's gonna be some snow falling. I just want to start singing. You guys, I usually don't do these little projects, but I'm usually working on big furniture. Here, my white magic is almost gone. So I usually work on big furniture, but I'm loving these little projects. I'm like really getting in the Christmas mood. I kind of want to start singing, you know, but that'd be a bad idea. Nobody would be on here then. So we're going to use a little bit of a blue sponge. And so you guys, if you're just popping on, just say hey, where you're watching from, if you're working on anything today. So this down here is going to be my, bottom section. Most of it's going to be covered up by the, bottom of the snowman. So I'm just putting a little bit of stain on here. I just want to get that gray look. So the Voodoo Gel Stain, you guys, if you haven't used it, it is water-based, so it dries really quickly. Super easy soap and water cleanup. You can see how fast this is going. I just streaked a little blue in at the bottom, and that's fine. All right, so we're going to come up to the top here. So on top, I want a little bit more of some of the lighter colors down toward the middle more so. Look at how beautiful that denim is. Kind of want it to look like kind of in the evening, a little bit of blue. The snow's fallen, so it's kind of gray outside. And dump a little bit more of this Driftwood mix in here. So you guys, if you don't have Voodoo Gel Stain, but you have these Dixie Belle colors, you can make a wash just like I did with that gray. You'll still be able to see the wood grain showing through. So I'm going to dab it in this section right here because I've got a knot. And I want to get it into all those holes. I don't want that natural wood to peek through there. But you can see how easy it is to even make your own stain or whatever. So I'm doing the same thing down here. I've got those divots from a knot. I'm just squeezing the excess out of my sponge so that I make sure I have everything covered. So we're going to do a little more layering on the top so I can make this a little bit deeper. I'm not so worried about if I have blobs or anything else. It's a sky. And this is super quick drying. It dries in like about 15 minutes. So you guys watching, has anybody used the Voodoo Gel Stain? Or I'm not seeing any comments. Everybody looks so quiet. Just darkening this up a little bit. That really kind of dark streak going down the middle of this board, the grain of it. I'm just trying to work that in, cover it up a little bit, streak a little bit of white through here, and we're pretty much going to be done with this. You can do multiple coats if you want it really dark, kind of like some of that wood showing through. All right, so perfect. So we've got our background now. Hey, Karen, how are you? All right, so we've got our background now. I'm just going to set this somewhere out of the way. And so now we're going to go ahead and get our snowman ready to put on. So again, if you guys are just popping on, this is, if you missed the first part, this is kind of what we're doing. I'm going to change a few things up, but we're going to do the porch leaner snowman. So you guys, by the way, when I did this one over here, this is the first time I've ever painted a snowman. So just kind of made it up as I went along, but before I did the live, I wanted to make sure I could make something I liked, and this was a good idea. So I'm actually using just some stuff I had around the house. I've got a 15-inch wood round here that I use these generally to make Lazy Susans. So I'm just going to use a watercolor pencil right here. I'm using blue because I'm going kind of dark. I'm going to let some of this show through because I've got that blue base. So I'm just doing a quick round there. And then I had a little, just like a silver little plate, which these are great to update too. Throw some slick stick on them and you're ready. So, right, we're going to create our second round here. Right, and then, do I want that down that far? I think I kind of might want to raise this up, make them a little bit taller. I don't have quite so much of an overlap. I know you guys, I'm so funny. Like sometimes I'm just really, that was like 1/8 of an inch. All right, so we're gonna take our top paper plate here. I'm just eyeballing the middle. He doesn't have to be directly center. And for this paper plate, oops. There we go. So now we have our snowman. If you guys can see kind of what that looks like here. That's just, again, a watercolor pencil. Let me get this out of the way. All right, so we're going to actually just use our paper plate here. And we're going to take some driftwood, which is a light gray color. Probably a little bit more. I used quite a bit of driftwood on this. So you can see the driftwood. And then we've got some fluff. So if you guys are just popping on, just say, hey, where you're watching from. So we've got some fluff. So fluff is white. It kind of has some gray undertones. So that's why I picked it and not cotton. And then we're going to do just a tiny bit of Haint Blue. I mean, you don't have to put these blues in here. I just kind of like giving it a little bit more dimension. I'm just using a tiny bit there. So not a whole lot. And you guys, this was so fun to paint. So don't worry about messing it up. This is such an easy little project. So I've got just a regular craft brush here. And so I'm going to kind of want my shading around the bottom. Normally I would use the edge of my brush to make this line, but this brush is a little bit different. So let's see, we're going to spray this a little bit so my paint glides on a little bit easier. And you guys, this is already dry, this Voodoo Gel Stain. I love this for furniture. So I've got my brush pretty well loaded up on the edge. I'm just going around there. So I want it to be a little bit darker on this side. But all I'm doing is laying my brush out and dragging it along. I'm going to load it up on this side near the edge. Wipe a little bit off. So that's how I'm getting that straight line. I'm not worried there where it's going to overlap because really we're going to bring that top one down. So I want it to be a little lighter on this side, like that's where he was going to be highlighted using the same brush. I'm just coming in. You guys, I'm going to go back and I'll end up staining the sides of this. I was kind of trying to save a little time, so I didn't do the sides. But get a little bit more fluff. And I'm just kind of bringing this in a circle. It's sort of blending, but I'm not going for, you know, he can look rough. He doesn't need to look perfect. He's just, a little snowman. Like a little cartoon snowman. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, kind of streak it down in here. Just kind of gives us a few more shades. And I'm going to take my Fluff here. So I still have plenty of paint on my brush, but it wasn't exactly on that corner. So another way I can go along that line is just hold my brush down, depress it, and just kind of sweep it around. And that's it. All right, so that's it. We're actually going to come back and we'll be shading him a little bit more once we put some of our lining on. So you just want this base coat down here. And go ahead and spray this center section. So on his middle, we're going to want that to be a little bit darker for that shadow. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, I've got a little hair stuck in here. Get that out. So I just offloaded some of this so I could have an easier circle there. And it just come on around. I don't have to be perfect right along these lines, but this is kind of how you get that line so you can go with what you just drew in. All right, so now we're going to do where our highlight would be in Fluff on this other side. Sorry, you guys, sometimes when I'm painting and I get quiet, I've got a lot of paint on here. That's why I'm doing it this way. I don't want to add too much more paint. I want to spread out what I have. Usually you want to do these outsides. They're usually easier if you do them first. But you guys, I want these brush strokes in here. And I'm not caring too much about this because we're going to have a scarf on him. So we're just going to smooth out some of this paint. We've got our shadow. And then we're going to come up to his head. Same thing. And you know, this is as if the light was shining in this direction. So I always want to keep it the darkest here. I'm just letting my brush flow, but the darkest off to this side because that is what would be in shadow. If not really too worried about the top of this or the bottom, to be honest, because we're going to have his hat coming down for part of his head, and the scarf is going to be covering up this other section. So I'm wetting down my brush so I'm going to get that nice smooth flow. And you see I've got my brush loaded on this side so that I offload it a little bit. And then I can just bring it on around. So he got a little bit, that edge didn't go so smooth. So I'm just going to fix it by pushing that paint back out to that line. Using that method right there. And just come on in, go around. These lines don't have to be perfect either. That's going to be covered up by his hat. You're not even going to see that. So we're just going to blend this together a little bit more. So we've got that gray. Got another brush in here. Or hair, I mean, not brush. Oh. There we go. I wanted to get him stuck to my finger, but not pull it over my other section. So there we go. We've got this done. So now we're going to come in with some of the details on the snowman. Let me go ahead and spray this off. We're going to come in with some of the details on the snowman. So I need this section to be dry, but you guys can kind of see where he's going here. How he's shaped and shaded. All right, so you can use a hair dryer. I'm just gonna use my heat gun right quick here. This bottom is pretty much dried. The chalk paint dries pretty quickly. You guys are so quiet today. All right. Is anybody working on any fun projects? You guys, all these Christmas projects are putting me in the Christmas spirit early. Like, I'm ready to put up my tree and everything. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. Are you guys the same way, or is everybody still doing the fall decorating? And you guys, this is super fun for, like, if you do a paint party, like you have friends over, you do like a Christmas paint party. You can actually just replay this video in the second one and do the paint party there. This is great for a gift. I think I'm going to keep one of these. I'll probably sell the other one in the store. But these are so fun. And you can do like Let It Snow, Welcome. You can do all kinds of different things with this. I'm actually toying with the idea of making it reversible. So that way I can have spring on the other side. So he's kind of wintry. Once this is over, I can just flip it around and have spring. All right, so that's dry enough. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty dry. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of draw out where I want everything to be. So his hat, so when you're drawing, the easiest thing to do is break it down into shapes and then use something like this, like your hand here, to really get an idea of sizes. So I want his hat to be about the same size as his head. And so I've got it in like a little football shape kind of here. So let's see, this is gonna come, actually, I think when I originally drew this out, I did it in the shape of a football. And that's kind of the same thing right here. This is just a rough idea of where I want it. As I paint it, I'll change it, but you just do a shape. So this is kind of a really long oval shape if you see me going around here. And then it's almost like a rectangle shape for the top. You want to come in before just a little bit before his head. Kind of curve his hat out some. And then just go around. So again, the hat is about as tall as his head. And all it is almost like a rectangle shape, just bringing it in some. I'm going to actually show you the sketch so you can see, because this is not hard at all. I think I might bring this corner brim out. There we go. You can adjust the size, like you see me widen it up a little bit here. That's okay. So I've got his hat. So for his buttons, or actually we're going to do his sweater first, then we're going to do his buttons, or his, not sweater, his scarf. So all I'm doing is creating a little line here. You guys, you can also do this with your paintbrush. I just don't trust myself enough to do it with my paintbrush. It doesn't have to be right on the edge. This again is going to almost be like a rectangle with curved, a slightly curved side. And you're just going to do a little scarf down like this. And then, so now we're going to have some buttons. I'm just going to use a quarter. So I'm figuring this first button will probably be like right here. Second button right here. Third button right here. It doesn't matter. These buttons probably aren't even in the same place as the other piece. If it looks funny, you can adjust it as you go. So the only other thing that we're really doing, we're going to give him arms. But for right now, the arms will come last. We're going to go in about the center of his head. And I'm going to do a little carrot with kind of a little upswing. And these are not precise lines that I'm making, you guys. In fact, I just kind of messed that up, and I think that's too far off to the side, so I just kind of brought it back in a little bit. And we're going to use a penny to make his eyes. So, yeah, see, I think I should have brought that down some, but it'll be fine. This is just a almost in the right spot type of thing. And you guys, it's just something to have fun with. This is a cartoon snowman. He doesn't have to look perfect. So down here, I'm just kind of drawing his smile in. And it's not perfect either. It's going to be dots. So let me bring you up. So you just did really a few different shapes. There, you used a penny and quarters to trace those, the scarf. Kind of see how those shapes come out. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so now that we've got this done, we're gonna come in. So I tend to skip around at this point when I'm painting anything. Ooh, well. Oh, I must have already had paint on these. Sometimes with my plates, I just restack them. And apparently those weren't clean ones. All right, so we're gonna come in with some Caviar. And we're gonna start, actually, sorry, not true. I'm using this hand, so I wanna actually work down from the bottom and up. So we're gonna use some Caviar here. Well, I think my little bottle got clogged. Well, that should be well, no, I'm definitely going to need more Caviar. All right, so that's enough for right now. We'll take off the lid if I need to after a bit. And we're going to come in with some Honky Tonk Red. And then we're also going to, actually that's all we need right now. So for this brush, I'm just going to use kind of an angled brush here. It doesn't matter. I could also use like this flat brush right here. Either one. And we're just going to kind of paint the line in on the hat. So I'm laying my brush down. And you know, I have a lot of lines over here. So I'm just following the line that seems right. You can always go in and make this larger or change the shape of it a little bit. I've got that knot right there. And we're painting the whole shape in because we're going to end up coming back and you know what? I just did exactly what I said we weren't going to do. I painted the hat first. I just wanted to paint this hat. Normally you want to start down there, but we'll work around it. It'll be fine. It's not the end of the world. It's paint. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just, for the most part, you want to leave your brush laying down. Don't pick it up when you're making these outside lines. And you want to offload it a little bit before you start doing those lines. Those are kind of the two tricks. And I'm going to go ahead and spray my brush down, keep it kind of wet here. Also, when I tend to paint smaller things like this, I try to keep water in a cup out. Because you can also dip it and just dry it on your paper towel. Which I'll definitely be doing some of that. We're just going to get the top part of this hat over and around. Meet it up on that line. So I want the hat to run vertically, so that's kind of how I'm going to make my brush strokes here. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. We're going to just kind of bring this edge out. And we're going to go up and around. I'm going right through a knot. So if you're on a knot like this, Sometimes it's really, really hard to get the paint down in those holes. So just kind of bring it up. You see, I just made a little boo-boo because I'm at the wrong angle here. So I'm just gonna lean over. All I'm gonna do is bring the brim of my hat up a little further so I can get past those little, spots. Actually, I'm gonna come in with a slightly smaller straight edge brush here for this section. So here we go. Sorry, I'm kind of concentrating on getting the shape of this brim down. And of course for the brim, we want the paint strokes to run horizontally, so I'm just kind of changing that up. Let me get this line down here. And you guys, you can just look at the picture of a snowman too, and kind of get the overall basic design if you want to make him a little bit different, if you want him to have a different kind of hat on, whatever the case may be. So I brought these edges down just a little bit so that that would look like it was going behind his head there. But this is not, there we go. So we've got his brim done. We're gonna let that dry because I know it doesn't look very good right now, but we're gonna come in and add some accents on. Let me just take care of my brushes here so that our paint doesn't dry on them. All right, and then we're gonna come down here and start. So down here, like for the buttons, I like to use one of these little brushes. It's not pointed, but it has kind of some rounded edges. It's a little bit smaller, and we're just gonna go in and do his buttons here. Just gonna lay your paintbrush down and drag it around the edges. And you want a coverage, but it doesn't need to be super opaque because we're gonna come in and add some shading. Right now, it's just like when we did the background. It's just the background. This isn't the final little thing on the buttons. But it's not like we're doing anything super detailed. We're just gonna give it a little bit of highlights and lowlights when we come back in. So I'm actually gonna cover up part of the button the scarf is, so I'm just kind of painting it halfway over. So that's it. We're gonna rinse this out. I'm hoping that hat dries a little bit by the time I get up there. Using the same brush, I just rinsed it off with a little bit of water. We're gonna come in with our Honky Tonk Red. And we're gonna do the same thing. See how easily, I need some new art brushes right now, you guys. This brush is gliding over this so easy. Some of my other ones are really well used. So some of that black is streaking in here. That doesn't matter. That's just gonna give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit of a shaded look. Just wanna get these edges. And you could use a larger brush for this. I just was sticking with the same brush we used a minute ago. And I'm gonna outline it. So those edges also don't have to be so crisp and perfect either. And you guys, if you're not comfortable, we'll get to the point where we talk about using a liner brush. If you're not comfortable with that, you can also use like a paint pen or anything like that to line this out. But it's really, really easy. So one of the tricks too with being so steady, well, I don't know, maybe some people are just automatically steady, but I feel like I'm getting older and sometimes I'm not as steady. So if that's the case with you, just make sure your hand is resting, your hand's remaining stationary, it's resting on your piece, and you're using your fingers to drag your brush. That'll give you that nice, easy line. All right, so we are just Just gonna do the edge of our scarf. So this is really the background, this part I'm painting now. And I'm putting my brush strokes in a horizontal direction because you don't want up and down. Well, I mean, I guess you can, but I try to keep my brush strokes in the direction that that particular, whatever I'm painting would be going. And because of the way I did this with painting the hat first, I'm trying to make sure if I would rest my hand up here, I don't want to drag everything to, be careful of that. You don't want to drag everything to, you know, like your background or whatever. Whoops. Almost stuck that in the Caviar. So we're using Honky Tonk Red again right now. And I have all the colors that we're using listed in the description, which it's really not a lot. We also have the colors available in 4 ounces. Just lay that down, drag it over. And this is actually kind of going up into his head. So I'm just gonna kind of readjust how far out the scarf comes on this side. Kind of add a little bit more. Because again, I wasn't perfect in where I was putting this, and it really doesn't matter. All right, so we've got that red on. We want that red to dry. We're gonna be adding stripes to that. So you guys, we got about 10 more minutes. So all of the details we'll end up doing tomorrow. I'll set up an event. I'm not sure what time yet. I have to check my schedule. But I'll set up an event on my page so you can pop in and watch how we do the details. But we're going to kind of finish up. We're going to kind of finish up this section. So I'm kind of at an awkward angle, but we're just going to go back and do our eyes. Can you guys see here? Here, let me do this side. So this is one reason it's so important. I know you guys may not be able to see that side, but I'm just using the same technique that I used on the buttons down there. Just want to slide this around to get that nice little line. All right, so we've got his eyes done, and he is starting to take shape. So we're going to go ahead and use a base of Terracotta. Oh, thanks, Thelma. Yeah, what do you guys think? Are you, I can't wait. I can't wait to finish this up. I love doing Christmas crafts, I've found. Normally I'm so busy painting furniture, I never, you know, trying to finish up Christmas presents that people have for customs and everything else, that I never get to do this. And I'm really loving it. So we've got terracotta here. And so I didn't really like how I had the end of my carrot. So I'm going to readjust him. And once this terracotta dries, I'll show you how to get rid of this line. And it's going to give us a little nice blue shading that just adds to your piece here. My hat still isn't dry. So normally this would be a lot easier because I would be able to rest my hand. But since I can't, I feel like I'm doing yoga over here trying to get the right angle. And you guys, I still have a little red coming off here, my paintbrush, because it's not like I'm like really cleaning them out in between. So I'm okay with that though. It's just once we go in with the shading, it's just gonna line it up so much. So I smudged the end of his nose, made a little boo-boo. Not gonna matter because we are gonna clean that up when we go through to outline it. So let's go ahead. We're gonna do I'm gonna do little dots for his mouth. So I just drew a smiley face. But we're going to put in some little dots on here. So I'm just using another little brush, same as the one before. It's just much smaller with the rounded edges. I forget what these brushes are called. I used to know, but I just sprayed it down a little bit. What I'm doing is, so that I can get the paint kind of evenly across my brush, a lot of times I'll just do it like this. And then I take and wipe all that off, and then I'll come in and dip it. So that I can have a good amount on here. And we're just gonna wing these little circles. I'm gonna start kind of right, can you guys see? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna start kind of right under the nose, start at the center. And we're just gonna, all I'm doing is making little dots. It's the same way we're gonna make the snow dots. You can, I think I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger. You can't really mess this up. I tell you what, you could really do it with a paint pen or Sharpie too. His mouth. I think the rest obviously is easier painting, but I'm just kind of following this shape. I am making them slightly smaller as they go back on this side because, you know, his head is supposed to be turned, but not really enough to make a difference, a notice. I mean, he's a caricature looking thing, so it's not like you're trying to be super realistic. It really doesn't, I don't know that it matters that much, but I'm just making them slightly smaller. On that one side. This side will make them just as big because this side is the side that's supposed to be closer if his head was slightly tilted. So same size there. And we can always go back and fix that up if it's a little bit off. All right, so you guys, I only have a few more minutes. Let me kind of hold this up and show you where we're at. So in the realm of furniture, we would still be at the ugly stage. We've got to go back in. We're going to outline him, highlight him, put the details on him to make him look like he's a little dimensional and not so flat. So I kind of worked quickly and rested my hand there. I pulled back a little bit of paint. While we're on here, I'm just going to go ahead, dab some gray in there with my brush. Maybe dab a little bit of white in. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not really worried that that doesn't look right because again, when we go back and outline, this is just the background. We'll end up adding some more shading to him and making him look 3D. So let me show you where we're at right now. This isn't dry enough for me to wipe off the blue yet, but you can see how I redid his nose. You can see, don't pay attention to that mark. You can see the shading in his body. That's all going to be fixed up. We're going to fix that. So this is where we're going to leave it now. I'll create an event on my page tomorrow. We will finish him up. It'll probably be tomorrow afternoon. I just got to check my schedule. But so you guys know, I'm going to change a few things. He's going to be a little bit cooler. This was my first snowman to make sure I could paint a snowman. So you can see we're going to do the snow on his hat. We'll put his banner on. We'll give his little nose some dimension, put some stripes on there, all that good stuff. Paint his arms. He needs arms. And I've got some little Christmas ornaments. We're going to be 3D. He's going to be 3D. But thank you guys so much for hanging out today. We've got another retailer coming on. Let me pop you up a little bit. Sorry for my hand right there in the phone. Oh, thanks, Karen. We've got another retailer coming on just in about 15 minutes on the page, so make sure and check her out. That's why I'm not popping over and finishing him up on my page. But the detail work, the highlighting and everything's pretty simple, pretty quick, so it might be another 45 minutes tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Selma. Like I said, should be afternoon. I'll create the event on my page. If you don't already like and follow me, please do. In the description, I do have the link to my Facebook page as well as all of the other information if you wanted to get any of these products. But most importantly, just tune in and see how he turns out tomorrow. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Oh, and if you're watching on replay, hashtag replay, please. I can't talk today. Let's see, Ermi. I know, Ermi, you too. I was hoping you were still on. I know we have to talk one day. It's probably, what, 10 o'clock at night for you? All right, sorry, you guys. Take care. Have a good night. Or day. I'm used to being on at night, too. It's only 1 o'clock. All right, bye-bye.